What's up, basketball fans? Let's talk about the latest firestorm igniting the women's hoops world. Nike dropped a signature shoe for Paige Beckers, one of the best college players around. And yet, two other megastars, Caitlin Clark and A'ja Wilson, have been left out in the cold. This should have been a celebratory moment. A college athlete landing a major sneaker deal. Instead, fans are outraged, calling out Nike's decision to back Beckers while seemingly sidelining two generational talents. What's the full story? And why has it become such a controversial flashpoint? Let's break it down. Paige Beckers, 23 years old and dominating college hoops, just made history as the first current college athlete with a Nike signature shoe.
Nike and team have a gift. It's for everybody. So, oh my God. They're bucket.
She's known for her scoring bursts, leadership, and the ability to outperform competition. Nike's move on paper seems logical. Beckers is a social media sensation, a campus icon, and a promising future pro. Dropping a sneaker with her name on it underscores the brand's embrace of the new NIL, name, image, and likeness era in college sports. In a vacuum, the sneaker reveal is monumental. It represents a milestone for women's sports, showing a brand finally acknowledging a college athlete at star level. In theory, this could open the door for more deals down the line, proving to other companies that big endorsement deals can work for women's basketball. Unfortunately, the joyous mood around Paige's success has been overshadowed by one question. What about everyone else? The uproar stems from who's missing: Caitlin Clark, widely seen as the face of women's hoops, and A'ja Wilson, a proven WNBA champion and MVP, remain on the sidelines of Nike's top-tier marketing. Caitlin Clark, at 22, has redefined basketball with a near 28-foot shooting range, surpassing even Steph Curry's iconic distance. NBA legends Michael Jordan, Steph Curry, Shaquille O'Neal have praised her unstoppable prowess. She draws immense crowds, breaks viewership records, and hits triple-doubles. Yet, Nike hasn't granted her a signature line, despite signing her to a deal in 2022. Fans are baffled. Caitlin's cultural footprint is arguably larger than any other female athletes in the NCAA or WNBA. Why wouldn't Nike tap into that? As soon as Nike teased Paige's sneaker, Clark supporters flooded social media, branding the decision a snub. Some threatened boycotts, demanding better recognition for the athlete they consider women's basketball's top draw. How do you ignore Caitlin Clark, the best player in the sport? Asked one enraged fan. Others said they're done buying Nike, switching to Adidas or Under Armour if those brands step up for Clark. The brand's silence has only intensified the uproar. Clark herself hasn't publicly complained, choosing to let her staggering numbers do the talking. Still, her fans argue that if anyone merits a signature sneaker in today's game, it's her. A'ja Wilson, two-time MVP and champion in the WNBA, also stands bafflingly outside Nike's signature shoe circle. She's proven she can draw crowds, anchor a franchise, and lead on social issues, traits that typically attract brand interest. Observers note that if she were a men's league MVP, she would likely have multiple sneakers by now. The fact that she doesn't reflect a consistent pattern in women's basketball marketing? Big achievements don't automatically lead to big endorsement lines, at least not at Nike. Nike has often lagged in releasing signature products for women. Candace Parker ended up at Adidas, while Diana Taurasi never got a robust line at Nike. Fans see a pattern. Top-tier women's athletes, despite groundbreaking achievements, remain overshadowed by men's campaigns or singled out only under specific brand strategies. That Wilson hasn't received a fully marketed sneaker is a microcosm of this larger dynamic. If the brand truly wants to champion women's sports, critics argue, why exclude one of the WNBA's brightest stars? Some speculate Nike chose Beckers because she's a college star with a vast social media following, perfect for capturing younger consumers. She's perceived as market-friendly, especially after forging multiple NIL deals. Perhaps Nike sees her as bridging the gap between teen fans and mainstream audiences. But is that reason enough to ignore a more established star like Clark or a WNBA champion like Wilson? Critics say no. They see it as a short-sighted move that inadvertently frames the brand as undervaluing the biggest talents in women's basketball. In marketing, timing, and messaging are everything. If Nike had announced Paige's shoe while hinting at future lines for Clark or Wilson, the blowback might have been minimal. Instead, fans interpret the brand's silence as a disregard for Clark's and Wilson's achievements. The wave of negative posts, Nike fail, where is Caitlin, support A'ja, isn't a small Twitter spat. It's a groundswell of fans who feel their idols aren't being shown proper respect. Social media has exploded with calls to boycott Nike gear. Some fans posted videos throwing away their Nike shoes, urging others to do the same. Critics question how Nike can tout women's empowerment yet seemingly neglect Caitlin Clark, who's become a cultural phenomenon, or A'ja Wilson, who exemplifies success at the professional level. The anger indicates that women's basketball fans, more passionate than ever, are prepared to punish brands that overlook their heroes. Adidas, Under Armour, and other brands have to be eyeing this fiasco with interest. The potential to sign an athlete of Clark's caliber could be a game changer, akin to how Adidas snatched Candace Parker. Under Armour soared on the back of Steph Curry's success. Imagine if they do a parallel marketing push with Caitlin. If Nike continues ignoring these star players, it could create an opening for rivals to claim a piece of women's sports fervor, which is on a dramatic rise in attendance and online engagement. Clark's feats aren't just about stats. She's altering how we watch women's basketball, regularly trending on social media for launching 30-foot bombs and orchestrating jaw-dropping plays. Michael Jordan praised her skill, Steph Curry said she's the total package, and fans line up in droves to see her. Some even credit her with boosting the entire WNBA's popularity, pointing to spikes in ticket sales whenever she plays. She's so vital that many argue ignoring her for a sneaker line borders on corporate negligence. The notion that Clark surpasses Curry's average three-point distance is staggering. It's a radical rewriting of the rules for women's basketball, where many critics once claimed the game lacked range or flash. She's proven otherwise, unleashing highlight reels that capture fans of men's and women's hoops alike. Her unique skill set could have powered an entire Nike campaign, akin to Curry's breakout moment for Under Armour. That the brand passed up that synergy inflames the argument that it's missing what could be the biggest marketing success women's basketball has ever seen. A'ja Wilson stands on top of the WNBA, both figuratively and literally. She's hoisted championship trophies, earned MVP honors, and become a vocal leader on social issues. Fans revere her unstoppable game on both ends of the court, scoring in the post, stepping outside for jumpers, anchoring defenses. She's a blueprint for the unstoppable forward of the modern era. In men's hoops, that's the exact formula that yields multiple signature lines. Why hasn't Nike jumped at the chance to highlight a professional champion? It's puzzling. If the brand is aiming to celebrate women's sports, Wilson stands as an ideal figure, a proven winner, a role model, and a beloved ambassador for the league. Skeptics say this reveals a deeper brand strategy problem. Maybe Nike invests heavily in men's lines while letting the women's side coast. If so, it's a major misstep, as the women's game is hot with new fans, new sponsors, and unprecedented media coverage. Over the past 2 seasons, the WNBA saw record attendance, record TV ratings, and a wave of viral highlights that drew younger audiences. College ball, fueled by epic March Madness showdowns, also soared. That's partially thanks to athletes like Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark showcasing near-impossible feats. Meanwhile, the WNBA, with stars like A'ja Wilson, is forging a newly energized brand identity. If there was ever a moment for shoe deals and endorsements, it's right now. Nike's primary risk is turning off fans who want to see Clark and Wilson recognized. The brand might assume that Beckers alone is enough to anchor women's sports marketing, but if fans interpret this as ignoring the rest, it could backfire. The brand's image, historically strong in men's basketball, now faces the challenge of bridging a growing divide. If Nike can't unify the sport's biggest talents, it may gift other sneaker companies a chance to step up with signature lines or collaborative campaigns, featuring the players fans are begging to see in the spotlight. Nike could salvage this by announcing a multi-star campaign. Maybe they plan to drop A'ja Wilson's shoe next, or confirm a Caitlin Clark line is in development. This could quell the anger, reframing the Beckers reveal as the first step in a broader plan. Another approach might be to double down on Paige. Yet that risks alienating fans further, fueling narratives that the brand is picking favorites while ignoring the undisputed biggest name in the game. Ultimately, fans demand that the biggest talents in women's basketball receive real support. They're beyond past eras where minimal nods suffice. If Nike can't adapt, its status as the go-to brand may erode among women's hoops followers, particularly new fans drawn to Caitlin Clark's mesmerizing style, or A'ja Wilson's championship dominance. The brand might see short-term success from Paige's shoe, but the long-term cost of snubbing other icons could be high. Nike's unveiling of a signature shoe for Paige Beckers should have been a shining victory for female athletes. Instead, it touched off a ferocious debate about missing star power, overshadowed by the brand's puzzling reluctance to do the same for Caitlin Clark and A'ja Wilson. Angry fans say Nike's move is tone-deaf to the evolving landscape, where a handful of women's basketball players hold massive cultural sway and pack arenas in record numbers. From Caitlin Clark's transcendent scoring feats to A'ja Wilson's proven MVP dominance, it's clear these players aren't just good, they're redefining the sport. For Nike to skip them in favor of Paige alone seems like a marketing misread that insults fans who have made Clark and Wilson household names. Sure, Paige's sneaker will likely generate attention, but the brand must grapple with the blowback, which includes calls for boycotts, competitors eyeing opportunities, and a new generation of fans watching closely to see if the company is truly committed to promoting women's basketball stars. A single marketing slip might not irreversibly harm Nike's empire, but it's a glaring example of how the brand might lose ground if it underestimates the passion fueling women's sports. The public outcry underscores that fans now have higher expectations, and that praising one athlete while failing to spotlight others can spark condemnation rather than applause. Whether Nike can pivot remains uncertain, but one truth emerges from this fiasco: women's basketball is in a moment of seismic growth, and ignoring the top-tier talents within it carries serious reputational risks. For Paige Beckers, the shoe launch is still a defining moment for women's hoops that is worth celebrating. But we must also highlight the complexity in women's sports marketing, a world no longer content with baby steps or token recognition. If Nike wants to stay on top, it may need to reevaluate its entire approach, rethinking how it invests in players who consistently shape and elevate the game. The lesson is loud and clear. Fans are paying attention, they're vocal, and they want fairness for their biggest stars. Failing to deliver on that new standard might cost Nike more than just a sneaker sale. It could cost them the loyalty of an entire generation of basketball enthusiasts.